ice cream truck.
I'll take a snow cone.
Popsicle.
Rich vanilla butter pecan chocolate deluxe. Even caramel sundaes is getting touched.
This thing rules. The Sangaroos.
Oh, hey, what's up? I'm Brian Altano.
And I'm Max Scoville.
This is a show where we discuss something we love,
Unpack why we love it,
explain where it came from,
try to remember our first impressions of it,
share our weird stories about it,
maybe learn something new about it along the way.
but first and foremost, we're here to celebrate the fact that this thing rules.
I don't even know why I have to ask this, but what's so great about an ice cream truck?
Okay, so I was thinking about this, and I think the best thing about them is that ice cream trucks will find you when and where you least expect them and when you need them most. And there's not really a lot of stuff that does that, right? Like usually you have to go out and seek stuff. And there are people that like follow social media accounts for ice cream trucks and they get, GPS data trackers and just, tail them in their cars and stuff like that. But for the most part, like I would say some of your best ice cream truck experiences you ever had growing up, outside of like where you're going to find them every single time, like maybe the public pool growing up, is just being somewhere and then hearing the sound or seeing one and being like, I didn't know I needed that or wanted that right now, but I'm going to have it.
That's a good point. I guess like we're accustomed to food trucks that usually like park in one spot. Like you have like a food truck park or whatever, or you have delivery where they come to you because you told them to, but like ice cream trucks are vaguely predatory, but in like a good way. Like they just kind of cruise around like looking for children, which is, anything else that would do that, not good. But that if it's for ice cream, that is good, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like there's like a couple Resident Evil games where like some sort of thing will stalk you, and I guess it's a little bit like that. Will just burst out of the wall one day. But like I know I've seen documentaries on like food trucks and hot dog carts and stuff like that in New York City, and there's this whole thing where like they have to like families will stake out a spot for like decades, right? And if they move, someone else will come in, and they might never get that real estate back. There's like the halal food trucks and stuff like that in NYC that like are pretty much always at the same spots. And there's probably a couple ice cream trucks like that there specifically, but most people's interactions with them are they're somewhere, they hear the music. And
yeah, no, ice cream trucks are nomadic.
Yeah, they're nomadic. They move around a lot. They have to, right? Because it's they need to find people where they are and where people are hot. And so, yeah, I was looking into this a little bit, and ice cream trucks basically started as a necessity because people didn't have freezers, right? Like you literally couldn't keep ice cream in your house, but people wanted ice cream. And eventually people started to get their own freezers, but then ice cream trucks started to be like, instead of just a thing that just carries around big buckets of them, we're going to sell like individually wrapped or like very specific things that you can't just save in your freezer. And it got me thinking about like when I was a kid, the thing was, and we grew up in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, where it wasn't like there was only like it's two things at the store, right? Like we would go to the freezer section in the 80s and 90s at like, Stop and Shop or Grand Union, Safeway, whatever the hell we went to. And there were dozens of options, but they were different than the stuff you would find at an ice cream truck.
That's true. And it's also like stuff that they don't even have at corner stores most of the time. It's like a very exclusive, like they're like Comic-Con exclusive, but that you could eat them,
Yeah. And they always, those things always tasted better out of an ice cream truck too. Like I know that like in our freezer growing up, my mom would have like a bag of shrimp, and then we'd get like a bucket of ice cream. And after like 3 months, like the shrimp would probably be fine, but the ice cream would taste worse.
Oh, that's
right?
awful. You got to eat that ice cream faster.
Yeah, and I think like what always made them special to me was they were cheap. You'd be, at a park or a pool or something like that, or some hot slab of asphalt. It was usually just like you'd be on the side of something, right? And you'd be like, Jesus Christ, it's hot out. I would love something right now. And you'd hear this like weird kind of like it would always be like a weird chime version of like a popular pop song or a kid song or something like that. And I've heard so many different versions of these things from these trucks. And then sometimes there would be just trucks that played regular music, and you'd be like, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work. Ice cream truck music needs to be ice cream truck music. That's just what it has to be.
Yeah, because otherwise you would just hear a car in the other neighborhood playing a song, and you'd be like, is that an ice cream truck?
Mine is the weirdest thing. Like there's one in my sort of neighborhood, and it goes around, it plays the music, whatever. and then when the song kind of hits the end of a loop, it goes quack quack. And so like you just hear like the jingle like quack, quack. And like the quacking is like louder than the music, so you kind of hear it and be like, was that a duck? And then you're like, oh
Yeah.
no, it's the ice cream truck.
So I think that's what's interesting about them. Like we have one near us that isn't it's an ice cream truck, but it's more like somebody's car that got converted into like it's definitely more truck than
What
car,
kind
but
of
it's
car?
I don't even know. You would know. I'll send you a picture of it and you can probably
Okay.
guess.
Please
But
send me more pictures of trucks. I like to look at those
no,
things.
I know you do. So you'll love this. A lot of the early ice cream trucks were basically converted from commercial vehicles, right, and vans, and basically they had parts removed and replaced with fiberglass so that they'd be lighter and more efficient to sell things out of. And I think that we think of ice cream trucks, we always think about like it's big enough, the same way we think of a food truck, right? Like big enough for a guy to stand in it. And then there's a window that opens, and then he can open that window, he can take money and stuff like that. But then there's a lot of there's smaller ones, right? Where it's like the guy drives in the front, couldn't fit in the back because the back is where he keeps the ice cream, and he gets out, he parks, and does the transactions right there. Then there's the weirdly smaller ones that I think are worth mentioning, but aren't trucks at all, which are carts or bicycle carts, right? There's the guy, and they serve the same function where it's like one of these people will show up uh, to a place that you already are or you're heading to or whatever. Usually it's like you'll find them on like boardwalks and beaches and like parks and stuff like that. And some guy will just kind of go by on the sidewalk or something. And it's like a guy pedaling a little bicycle and he's got a cart in front of him. And like a bunch of these are like not like world famous, but like local heroes type of things. Whereas like people don't really know the name or the company that runs most ice cream trucks. A lot of them are owned by like, big commercial companies that are, prevalent all over the country or are all over the world. But a lot of these smaller ones are just like, hey, it's the blah, blah, blah guy, or it's like Chris, the, gelato boy or whatever. These guys will show up and like same deal, same function, just no gasoline, right? It's all foot powered. So not trucks worth mentioning. So I was able to, based on sort of anecdotally, there's also, I will say, there are also ice cream boats,
What?
which I found out about. These are ice cream.
Why?
I don't know. These are ice cream trucks that go on open waters and will float around, I guess, from boat to boat or to beaches. And then people will swim up with wet money and then get the ice cream and go. There's a lot of questions, right?
That
Like
seems poorly thought out.
it does seem poorly thought out. So if you want to become an ice cream truck driver or really sell any food from your car, you can't do that easily. And that's good. It's good that you can't just sell food to kids from your car, right? I think we all agree with that. So you have to apply for local business licenses. You got to pass a background check to make sure you're not a weirdo, all that stuff like that. And if you want to be an ice cream boat guy, it's the same deal. You got to do all that. Plus, there's also other things you got to worry about. Like
Did
there's
he get like a captain's license or whatever?
captain's license, maritime law. I also wrote the Gilligan Billigan, which is
Okay.
a thing I made up.
All
But,
right.
okay, so I was able to break this down to the three types of ice cream trucks that I think I've experienced in my life, with sort of subcategories underneath. And I think if you grew up in America and maybe even elsewhere, this is probably the three types you've gotten. Okay, so there is the standard white or sometimes other color ice cream truck that usually sells traditional good humor bars, right? Those are the ones that's just like one company owns all the bars, they make them all.
Yeah,
And this
good
is-
humor. The
yeah,
good humor man.
Yeah. And so underneath those, you usually get a lot of the sort of like gimmicky, it's like, Bubble O Bill or whatever. It's like it's a fucking aardvark and he's got like frozen testicles that you could chew on or whatever.
Yeah, or
There's all
like
this-
Sonic the Hedgehog, but he looks
He's,
like
like,
you're
melting.
on
Yeah,
ketamine
he's-
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, he's got Bell's palsy. It's not okay. So there's those. There's also the Mr. Softy ice cream trucks, which I think were more of an East Coast thing. But think of it this way: like you've got your, ice cream trucks like Good Humor that have like, the hard prepackaged stuff. Then you have soft serve ice cream trucks, which basically like you can't really get prepackaged stuff wrapped up in plastic or anything like that. You get stuff in like a cup or a cone, and it does that thing where it like comes out like, like foam, and then they put toppings on top of it. So those are great too, but like sometimes you see one of those and you're like, I really wanted like a melting Ninja Turtle, and instead I'm just gonna get ice cream. And those are like less interesting to me. And I would see them a lot in New York City and also in places that already had like like an ice cream parlor nearby. So I was always less like enthusiastic about it, even though the product itself is probably better on a sheer ice cream level, right? Like I think we can all agree that like a soft serve chocolate and vanilla swirl tastes better than whatever the shit Sonic the Hedgehog is made of with his
It
melting ass
depends what you're
eyes.
into. Maybe you want
Yeah,
to have some stale bubblegum eyeballs, you know,
it is
because
true.
some people are sick in the head.
It's true. But those were usually next to or near a like an ice cream parlor for me. So it always felt like, oh, this is cool, but it's kind of a letdown. And Mr. Softy, I don't know if you've seen him. He looks like the kind of guy that like wouldn't get approved for an ice cream vendor license. He's like a sort of well dressed. I don't know if he looks like he works at like a carnival, which I guess he does a lot. And then his face is an ice cream cone, but he's got like this weird tie. Like he looks like somebody you wouldn't trust.
This is there's a strong argument for not making something that looks like this and putting it on a truck. This is
Yeah.
awful. He
Is
looks terrible.
from a different time. And then number three are Italian ice trucks, and these are where these end up as carts more often than I think ice cream trucks do. Italian ice is basically crushed ice that is usually put into a ball in like a paper cone or a paper cup.
Oh, like a snow cone.
Like a snow cone, yeah. And then it's covered in like various flavor toppings, right? And all of those are like this like sort of like thin syrupy liquid.
It's the same shit that Italian sodas are made out of, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And I've mentioned them on the show before, but in the Philadelphia and South Jersey area, there's the queen of these trucks is this company called Rita's Water Ice. And Rita's Water Ice basically does all of this shit out of a big red truck. And they've pivoted over the last few years into some cream-based stuff. Like they do some gelatos or gelatis, I think they call them. But then they also have like, depending on where you are, you can get chocolate or vanilla. But nobody really goes to Rita's Water Ice to get vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, stay
right?
in your lane. What are you doing over there?
So last I checked, Rita's Water Ice had like dozens of different flavors, and like they'll team up with local brands. They'll do like a Kool-Aid flavor. They've done Swedish Fish.
What?
They have like blue raspberry, obviously, but there's also like chocolate peanut butter.
But
So
it's a syrup over
but
ice.
it's a syrup. Yeah, so looking right now, appleberry blue, banana, blueberry lemonade, blue raspberry, cantaloupe, carnival, just carnival. Who knows what that is? Maybe that's like circus peanuts. Cherry lemonade, cherry limeade, chocolate, cola, cotton candy, chocolate chip, chocolate peanut butter, Dr. Pepper, Georgia peach, green apple, island fusion, juicy pear, key lime, Kool-Aid, charcoalberry, thin. Okay, that one specifically, which is a good flavor. I remember when I was a kid. Kool-Aid tropical punch, lemon, mango oranges. Fucking nerds.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, nerds.
Did they put nerds on there?
I don't know if they do. I think it's just grape nerds flavor.
I feel like toppings on an ice thing is not good because when it melts, it just becomes water, and then you just have
Yeah.
like water with stuff in it. Whereas like when ice cream
Crunchy
melts,
water.
it becomes more of like a bisque, you know?
But yeah, they have peach rings, which like the gummies, Skittles, Sour Patch Kids, watermelon. Like, so very clearly it is easy. Unicorn, Swedish Fish, Razzle, Red Smart Snack.
Okay.
Zombies blood. So yeah, that's just some of them, right? Like half of them. Very easy. It's clearly easier to save a bunch or store like a whole bunch of different, squirtable syrups than it is to have.
That's a great business model, and
Yeah.
also ultimately you're selling water.
You're selling water. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
You're
I mean,
selling water with different water on it.
I've had like shaved ice in Hawaii, and that's similar deal. Different machine. It basically just comes out like snow.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's yummy, but then they gouge you, like it's expensive ice, and then it's funny because it's not ice cream. It's like, I know what you did. I saw you doing it. You just took frozen water and then you poured like a sauce on it, and like they'll mix it up. They'll put all sorts of silly shit in there, but it's kind of like, I feel like it's brilliant. It's low overhead. I never had Italian ice from a cart or like a truck growing up. They just didn't have that
interesting.
where I was. I remember they had, I think I probably got these from an ice cream truck at some point, but they had the little Italian ices that come in cups in their packaged ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
where you
Yeah.
like peel the little paper lid off, and then you have one of those like tongue depressor things that you try to use like a spoon.
And it tastes exactly like the tongue depressors. Like
Yes.
first, I think I swear they got them from like literally the same factory because
And
they
you,
had that
yeah,
same chemical taste.
and you had to like basically drill a hole into the thing and like chip away at it. Like you never just ate it with like a spoon. It was always kind of a project.
It was a job. It was a whole work.
I
Yeah.
remember it was those, and then there would be the if you go to like the Good Humor truck or whatever, they'd have the packaged snow cone,
Yes.
which was one of those mistakes. I feel like I put that in the same category as like eating crayons and thinking they would taste like the color they are, like thinking a snow cone would be like snow or fun, but ultimately you're basically getting a softball made out of ice that you have to gnaw at like some kind of rodent, and
Yeah,
then
I
you
wanted
wind
to
up with
talk
a
about
wet cone.
that one real quick because that one specifically is a huge pain in the ass that you think is a great idea because the picture on the side of the truck, which
so
like
good.
if you've gone this far and you still don't know what we're talking about, the coolest thing about ice cream trucks was that they, and not besides the ice cream, haha, was that they would roll up and they would have this huge wall on the side of them of pictures of different ice cream, and there are all these like really cool action shots, and they had these amazing fonts and logos, like, you know, like the shark one would have this, like, you know, there's like a bite taken out of it and all that. And the snow cone thing that you were just talking about is one of those things where it looked like, or the snowball, it's like a rainbow snowball, right? And you thought it would be like soft and delicious and it would have every single color on it. And then it comes in like this cone, right? And you're like, man, that's fucking amazing. In reality, what you get is this like frozen ice ball. Like if you were ever a kid and you made a snow, did you ever like make a snowball when you were a kid and then
Yeah.
put it in the freezer?
Oh, and it just turns into something else.
It just turns into a rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was just a rock that no one shaved, nobody crushed. It was just a rock of water covered in 5 or 6 different flavors. And because of like the different temperature variations this thing had gone through in its life, those colors just sort of congealed into this like weird brown, like when you mix all the Play-Dohs.
Yeah, they were a disappointment. The official canonical title for this thing is the Popsicle Snow Cone,
Right.
which is confused. The fact that Popsicle as a brand has always kind of confounded me.
And instead of just being the thing, right?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
popsicle.
Oh, popsicle ice cream. Which is it? You know,
That's like when people are just like, I'll have a root beer pop. And you're like, what? What do you want? I'll have a Coca-Cola pop. No, so the worst thing about these things was that you would bite into them on a hot day and your hand would be holding the paper cone on the bottom. And so that's where the heat would rise from. So it would sort of detach, the ball would detach from the cone and it would just like rotate like a globe. Do you remember that? And then
Yeah.
so the juice would seep out and you would have just this ice ball with this like, you know, fucking congealed cup of brown food coloring in it, and you'd be like, this was a bad idea. But like most bad ideas when you were a kid, you forgot 5 minutes afterwards and you just ordered it again a few
yeah, I
months later.
definitely did that more than once. Yeah, the pop, just the character pops. Are they called popsicles? I guess the frozen treats with the sticks in them that are shaped like people's heads.
I guess so, yeah. And so I wanted to talk about some of those today, definitely, because that's, I think, the most important part. If you grew up, you know, in the last few decades and you've gotten a ice cream from an ice cream truck, what's interesting about that is depending on what generation or what decade or what era you grew up in, your character ice creams were based on what was popular at the time. And it's something I hadn't really thought about because, like, you know, there was, you know, before I became a dad, there was a very long time where I just didn't really see ice cream trucks very often. I wasn't really approaching them very often. So I just assumed they still had, you know, Mario and Slimer and Ninja Turtles and Sonic. And it's like, no, they moved on to like SpongeBob and Minions and a bunch of other, you know, modern nonsense that children love.
I feel like the SpongeBob and Minion popsicles are just the same thing with a different
Yeah.
packaging. You know, just
Yeah.
yellow shape, man.
Yeah, that's the problem is a lot of the characters we loved growing up are not necessarily flavors you want to eat, you know? Like when you go to an ice cream truck, you're not really like, I want to eat blue. Or like I always loved Super Mario, right? Like the Super Mario Brothers bar. But that one was like cherry and like, you know, that like lemon, it's like that white lemon ice flavor.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't really want those. Like I love Mario, but that's not what I want. Or like the Slimer bar was green, right? And you're just kind of like, what is this, like a green cream? Like is this like a sherbet?
They're all kind of just like a hardened sherbet. Like That's kind of what that texture is. You know, they're not popsicle, they're not like sorbet, they're not ice cream. They're kind of just a sherbet.
Yeah, which
Uh,
I never liked because like I had Italian family members that would be like, "You guys want ice cream?" And we'd be like, "Yeah." We'd be at their house and they just pull out like orange sherbet, and I'd be like, "That's not this. That's."
I don't know. I loved sour stuff when I was a kid, so that would
Hmm.
always like appeal to me. I'd eat ice cream too, but like I think that would be why I would get that the stupid snow cone. As I was like, I want something,
Yes,
something sour and
little
juicy. Like I
tart.
want, yeah. And it would always disappoint. I remember just being kind of amazed because I think I went to an ice cream truck that I mean the wild thing is like the Ninja Turtle ice cream shape has prevailed. Like it's still the same one,
Yeah.
but the packaging has changed.
Hmm.
And I want to say like I haven't gotten it in a cool minute, but like I mean I'm looking at a graphic for this now where it's like the 2003 Ninja Turtles, but it's very clearly the popsicle is shaped like the 87 cartoon. And it's ultimately like nobody's going to be like I'd love to hear the conversations that like you know intellectual property holders have with the Good Humor Company
Yeah.
where they're like, here it is, Sonic the Hedgehog, the popsicle. And they're like, Sega has to be like, that doesn't look anything like Sonic the Hedgehog. At what point do they deem it okay? You know?
Well, there was a. I feel like they would just make this weird circular shape that they were like, that's sort of a Ninja Turtle or that's sort of Spider-Man, and that was the same one. Like you're right. I'm looking at one that was based off of Ninja Turtles from just a few years ago, and it just looks like the '80s one.
Mm-hmm.
There was I think it was a Comic Con exclusive, or something. Maybe it was in like some blind box that I'm still bummed I don't have. But it's a toy basically, or like a plastic recreation of one of those Ninja Turtle ice pops, but it's on its side and it's like melting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it looks like a kid dropped it on hot concrete, which is great. But yeah, looking at some of these, it's like they've made Sonic a million times. They've made, Spider-Man. They've made Ninja Turtles a million times. There's the three that are always there. There's strawberry shortcake, and these are weird, right? These are rectangles on a stick. It's ice cream. They're covered in like crunchy stuff, and then the inside of them have this like inner layer that reflects the flavor on the outer layer, right? So the strawberry shortcake, that one has these like weird white, pink, red, and beige.
I
Like,
love the
yeah,
strawberry shortcake.
that's a
The
good
Good
one.
Humor. So that one is, thank God, you can get that from other stores. That one
Yeah.
is easily acquirable because it's
Hmm.
fucking amazing. I wish they made them bigger. I wish they made jumbo ones because I would eat them. I don't give a shit. I'd do it.
They're really small.
They're
Yeah.
so good. They're so good.
That's the thing about some of these that I've noticed. My kid got a fudge bomb pop recently at I forget where we were, but there was an ice cream truck, and we got her a fudge bomb pop. And a bomb pop, they make two varieties. One is basically Fourth of July themed or American flag, right? It looks like fireworks. It's red, white, and blue.
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah.
and then there's also the fudge ones, which have banana in the middle of them,
Ugh.
and you're kind of like, why are you here? But it's a subdued banana. But like, yeah, I bought her a box of them because she loved them so much, and it was like $5 for six of them at the store, and they're just pathetically small. So like when the ice cream truck versions you get, even when you can find some of these at home, they're just not the same. So yeah, back to the three. There's also chocolate shortcake, which is same deal as strawberry shortcake, right? And then there's cookies and cream, which is basically like the closest they could do to being like, we sell Oreos here. But I wanted to talk about my favorite ice cream bar of all time, the WWF Superstars ice cream bar.
Oh, for God's sake, this
Okay.
again?
No, now listen, even if you don't like wrestling, I haven't watched wrestling in decades, I would fuck up a box of these right now, today, in my 40s. I would destroy a box of these. And here's why they were awesome. Okay, so the WWF Superstars ice cream bar basically followed the rules of a bunch of other snacks and toys at the time, which they were just cool. They came in a box, right? So it wasn't, someone just didn't hand you a bar. They gave you a box. So the box had all this cool packaging and stuff like that, kind of like an action figure. The flavor was a vanilla ice cream, like a large wedge of it, sandwiched between chocolate and then this huge cookie. So like think a Chipwich. If you didn't want two cookies, you just wanted this big golden one. The cookie itself had a print on it in chocolate ink, or I hope. Could have just been ink, brother inkjet, of a wrestler, right? And so it would be this like hero pose of this guy that is dead, died almost immediately after this happened, or right before, during, not because of the ice cream. He died from and not even natural causes. He died from like getting hit with stuff too much or steroids, drugs, whatever. Not a safe job. And so those were randomized, so you never know who you're going to get. But there was a second random element, which was a collectible. There was a 1 in 12 trading card inside the box. And so like you would open up the box and there would be this like perforated thing that you would tear off and you would get a trading card. So like if you got one, your friend got one or whatever, a bunch of you got doubles, you could trade with each other. And these always had like chocolate stains on them from the bar or from your fingers or whatever. But to me, this was the coolest thing because it followed a lot of the stuff that I loved about buying toys at the time. And then also like that sort of monsters in my pocket, blind box approach of like, oh, I don't know who I'm going to get. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that the core treat is delicious. And I know the stuff that comes with it is also really fun. And so I think eventually they started putting different stuff in the sticks too, which added like an extra element. Like some companies started getting a little gimmicky with the sticks too. They write jokes or,
I like those joke sticks. I think they're great.
Those are great. And so like that's the thing. Like the amount of times I bought cereal as a kid because it came with a prize I wanted, but the cereal isn't something I wanted. Like looking at you, California Raisins. There are a bunch of cereals I bought that just came with toys, and the toys were cool, or they had a cool mail away. But then the box would sit on our shelves in our pantry for like months, and my mom would be like, "What's the matter? You didn't like this? You just get it for the toy?" And I'd be like, "No." And my neighbor started this rule with their kid, probably because of me, where they were like, "You can't get the toy until you finish the cereal." And I was like, "That fucking sucks." Like imagine your mom just takes like that cheap ass like little DuckTales figurine out of the box and then just puts it above her armoire for 4 months while you
Not cool. Not
pound
cool at
down
all.
regular ass kicks.
You got to eat Rice Krispies.
Oh,
Get out of here. And it was always in like a big box too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's surprising there weren't more like prizes and gimmicks to sell ice cream, but ultimately like you don't need prizes and gimmicks to sell ice cream to kids.
Yeah.
They're just like the prize and the gimmick is that it's a frozen Ninja Turtle head that you get from a guy on a truck that makes music.
Yeah, which I guess is the gimmick, exactly, right? Okay, so speaking of which, let's get into
Speaking of Chipwich,
speaking of which, WICH, let's get into 12. I wrote a list of 12 great ice cream truck treats to get when WWF Superstars ice cream bar is sold out because all your friends bought it, by Brian Altano, age 9. I'm going to start with number 1, Fat Frog ice cream. This was one I liked very much when I was a kid. I think his eyes are M&Ms, or bootleg M&Ms, and they're weird. But Googling this, I realized there's 2 types of Fat Frog ice creams, and one of them is shaped like those old, like those old Disney ice pops, where it would be like different fruit flavors, but it would like a character figure of Mickey.
I don't know as much about popsicles as you do, I think.
Okay, so I want you to look at the packaging for Fat Frog. It's awesome. He's got these like M&Ms falling down from his face. He's got this little guitar he's playing. But the original Fat Frog it just says Fat Frog in this thick font that looks like, 80s wild style graffiti. And he's got these red eyes. He's this green amorphous blob, no discernible limbs of any kind, like he's doing the frog crouch thing. And then he's got spots on him. But then there's another kind that's just shaped like a frog sitting on like a rock on a stick. And that's fucking psychotic. I'd never had that one. If you had that one growing up, good for you. I'd never had that.
I think that might be a foreign one.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is pretty wild.
So that one's fun stuff. Let's see. Number 2, Great White. Great White is a classic. I know you've had Great White, right, Max?
I mean, it's a shark, right?
Yes.
Probably. If I had
Okay.
to buy a shark made out of ice cream, I probably would do it, given the opportunity.
So this is another one. Great font is, I forget what flavor. I think it's just I think they made different. So when they popularized this for home, they went super lazy. The Popsicle company, which is named Popsicle, made orange, cherry, and mystery flavored ones that were just white ice pops. Like that's all they were. And they had a shark on the box, but it wasn't actually, doing anything. So it didn't actually.
Okay. Yeah. I've had these. They really
They're
didn't
fine.
do much there.
Yeah, they phoned those in. So the Good Humor Great White were really awesome, and they were basically like a lemon flavor and a white color, which they used in other pops, but here it was shaped like a shark. So you were at the beach, you'd seen Jaws. You're like, I can eat a shark. This is a good time. Number 3, Bubble Play. Do you remember this one?
I'm not Googling that. I don't know what that is.
I think
What
you
is
should
that?
do it.
Bubble
Okay.
Play?
Okay, Bubble Play ice cream they made it in 2 varieties. It is a fucking catcher's mitt on a stick that caught a baseball that's a gumball.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so you can get these in cherry or chocolate. Chocolate was always my go-to. The thing about ice cream that came with gumballs is it's a fucking terrible idea by all accounts. It's a fun gimmick, and you get a treat at the end. You get something that lasts, a few minutes after your ice cream. But frozen gumballs are terrible, and giving a bunch of kids gum near a beach or a lake or a pool or asphalt is the fucking worst idea on a hot day. Like growing up in New Jersey, we would get these things and then somebody would spit the gum onto the sidewalk and then you'd get it stuck to your raw foot or your shoes at the end of the day. It's the fucking worst. But besides all that, a bunch of ice cream with gumballs has made it to my list today, including Bubble Play. Number 4, Vampire Secret. Okay, so I didn't know about this one.
What?
You don't know about Vampire Secret?
Do you have a framed picture of it in your house?
I do.
Okay, that's all I know about it.
Yes. So I don't think I ever had this one growing up. But Dinosaur Dracula, who's awesome, we've shouted about on the show before, sent he does these like packages every month called Fun Packs, and he sent me one a couple months ago that had like 4 pictures of different like ice cream truck ice creams. And Vampire Secret's really cool because it has a picture of a vampire on it, and he's got like this V pendant around his neck. And it is like a black cherry ice pop that has a different cherry inside. So when you bite into this thing, it's like blood's coming out. So you get to mimic being a vampire, eating a purple person, I guess.
Weird.
Yeah. So those are
I
fun.
like it.
Okay. Number 5, we all know about Screwballs, right? Not the wacky comedy
I mean, I feel like most people don't know popsicles by name. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm out of my element here.
Okay.
Screwball ice cream. Oh, those things.
Yeah. So Screwballs, and I want to point out the best kind, is the 2-ball screwball, which is what I gave your mom. The 2-ball screwball it looks like one of those plastic cups they gave you, like at the doctor or the dentist as a kid, the ones that like
a cone.
A cone, yeah, those cup cones,
a water cone
that you couldn't put down on anything, and you just had to hold until you got rid of. Super wasteful. And so these also, I believe, had not 1 but 2 gumballs at the bottom of them, and they came in a wide variety of flavors, which were very fun. You
That's
never had
cool.
one of those?
So I recognize that substance. I feel like I got a similar thing that was in like a longer paper tube, and you would squeeze it out the bottom. It was like a Flintstones push pop, but without it wasn't like a straight cylinder. It was just kind of like a tube of toothpaste almost.
Yes.
Where you would,
Yeah.
like a very long paper cup, and you'd have to just,
Yeah, what were those? I had those.
right? I don't know.
Number 6, Choco Taco. Everyone knows the Choco Taco. You know the Choco Taco,
Yeah,
right?
I know the Choco Taco.
Taco Bell sold them for a while.
I don't like them. Yeah, I remember them from Taco Bell. Actually, I think they were maybe just coming like. So like I moved to the country when I was like 8.
Mm-hmm.
In the country they don't have the ice cream truck because that would be insane.
Which country?
I lived in the middle of nowhere. I lived in the woods. I lived in the sticks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, before that I lived in the city, and it was like ice cream trucks all the time. And then I feel like the Choco Taco kind of we missed each other, And then I went to Taco Bell for the longest time. I thought it was a Taco Bell thing because it is a Choco Taco. I think it's disappointing. I don't like it. I don't like a Choco Taco.
It was on their menu for a while. I'm putting it on here because it's interesting, not necessarily because it's good.
That's fair. It is a creative use of food. I like when food pretends to be different food. I think that's pretty cool.
So my issue with the Choco Taco is that the frozen ice cream cones that you would get from these trucks, right, would have the cone at the bottom and a little bit of the ice cream would get in there, but most of the ice cream sat on top. Whereas the Choco Taco takes the entire cone and wraps it around the ice cream, which just always makes it soft and not necessarily soggy, but just like you think it's more of like a soft shell taco or like a hard shell taco that's wet than a soft shell one, which doesn't make it great, but
Sure.
cool name, great presentation. Number 6 on our list. This is not a numbered list, by the way. Number 7, we talked about it before. The Super Mario Brothers bar. Super Mario Brothers bar was awesome. Pick if you like Sonic in there instead. That's fine. So when we were kids, we had this thing called, I think his name was Buffalo Bill. You ever had that?
No, but I've seen Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, yeah. So Buffalo Bill is the guy that drops people in that hole. No, the Super Mario Brothers bar is cherry slushed ice with a bubblegum nose. Loved Mario growing up. Loved the off-model picture they had of him on all of these. These were great. Buffalo Bill was the same thing. He was just he was like a drunk cowboy with a bubble nose. So I didn't really get into cowboys, but I did get into Mario. So when I saw this, I was like, I need it. Super Mario also got his own ice cream sandwich at some point, by the way, which was like vaguely like the WWF Superstars ice cream, where they would print a picture on him, but it wasn't on a stick. And I don't think it had chocolate. I think it was just cookies and ice cream. It was just, it was really tough being a fan of like Mario and snacks growing up because they didn't really overlap very well. Yeah, number 8, Buffalo Bill. We just talked about him. There he is on the list again. He's an alcoholic cowboy with a nose you can eat.
He looks kind of like Owen Wilson in the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yes. Okay, number 9, this is kind of a cheat, but I first interacted with them at ice cream trucks. The Snickers ice cream bar. This thing is one of the few examples of a candy bar making its way into ice cream world and knocking it out of the fucking park.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Like there was a lot of games that were not able to jump to 3D with the N64, right? And I feel like this a lot of candy bars struggle the same way. I've seen like Kit Kat ice cream bars or Milky Way, and they fumble the bag. Oreo is like okay, but again, same issue. You get like these wet cookies, too much, ice cream, too much frosting in the middle.
I think Milky Way is all right. It's just a Snickers bar without the peanuts, right? Like it's just
yeah.
But the ice cream, maybe the peanuts are there for like structural integrity, and the ice cream,
they're there because they're really good.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like peanut. I don't like peanuts in ice cream. I'm gonna put that out there. I don't like them. I like peanuts in candy. I don't like them in ice cream.
I do like them in so I think chopped peanuts on chocolate ice cream is pretty good. I like peanut butter ice cream. If you just handed me like a ice cream cone and you put like a handful of peanuts on it, I'd be like, the fuck is wrong with you? But Snickers ice cream bar, they work. I don't know why, they work. Number 10, the Big Bear cookie sandwich, aka the Chipwich. This has different regional names everywhere. This is a fucking all-time classic. This is a banger. I'm gonna
caveat this. The quality of these things entirely hinges on what level of melted they are.
Yes.
Because like the Chipwich, when it's like the perfect softness, is great. When it's too hard, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with a Snickers bar, where if it's too hard, it's not fun. But if the ice cream in there melts a little bit, and then it's trapped inside the chocolate, that's a good time. This is a good time to eat that ice cream like that.
No, I'm right there with you. I think when it gets too melty, you bite into it, and all of the ice cream shoots out of the back, and you look like a duck. That don't. You don't want that. They sell a lot of horseshit varieties of Chipwich that they should stop, like birthday cake with sprinkles on the side that doesn't have fucking chocolate chips. It's just like sugar cookies. We don't need to do all that. Just stick with the classic. It's 2 big ass chocolate chip cookies, a fucking thick brick of vanilla ice cream built into a circle, and then they put little chocolate chips all over the outside. Come on. Like that's a fucking legendary right there.
I don't particularly like chocolate chips on ice cream. I feel like they need to mind their own business. But in the case of the Chipwich, I think it does a very good job. They have the little ones and they make the whole rim there. I think it's nice. I have like a lot of strong opinions about what should and shouldn't be in ice cream. I didn't realize that about myself. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you'll feel better about number 11 on my non-numbered, non-ranked list. Lick-a-Color. Sounds terrifying.
Lick-a-Color?
Lick-a-Color. Okay, so Lick-a-Color is your standard issue traditional ice pop that has different rings in it, like a tree. And each of those rings is a different color, like a rainbow. So the more you lick...
I love those things.
Yeah, they're great, right? You take a bite and you immediately expose this, fucking 10,000 years of geode or whatever.
It's a gobstopper as a popsicle.
Yes, it's a pop stopper.
Yeah, I think they couldn't call it that.
Yes, they couldn't.
Again, I love that. I love those things. I didn't know that was the name.
Okay, number 12, Hyperstripe. Do you know about Hyperstripe?
I don't know, man. I don't know what these things are called.
Okay, Hyperstripe is basically a gigantic series of tube slides that have been put together. These are also called cyclones sometimes. They've all sorts of silly appearances, but this is my favorite one.
You know what's really weird is if you Google Hyperstripe, you get these popsicles, but then you also get a brand of sports overalls that have stripes on them. And you can wear your favorite sports team as overalls and look stupid while you're doing it.
Okay, so Hyperstripe is cherry, blue raspberry, and lemon ice in a red, white, and blue Americana theme, twisted up into a swirl that you can eat sideways or top down or however you eat your stupid fucking shit. You'll have a good time.
You eat it like corn on the cob, sideways?
Yeah, I guess you could put a stick into the other side, or like remember when they made up that rumor about Justin Bieber eating burritos from the middle, and people were like, "Of course that's fake," and now you'd be like, "I don't know, man. Maybe there is some merit to that." So yeah, that is number 12 on my list. There's a million of them, but I will point out that like every 3 years, or no, every 3 days on some website, right? Some from Facebook to Instagram to BuzzFeed did this forever. There would be this thing. This is on the front page of Reddit every 4 seconds, where somebody just puts up the blurriest image of like an ice cream truck, right? And it just says like the hardest decision of my life, or like what are you guys picking? Hey, where are we dropping? Stuff like that. And then all these people get into debates in the comments section about which ice cream is the best one. And so I don't think there's a wrong answer. I mean, there was definitely, I think like anything mint was the wrong answer. Like you're an idiot.
I like mint stuff.
Why?
I don't know, man.
I feel like chocolate. I feel like ice cream is so infrequent that when you're gonna have it, why have it mixed with something?
You know
that
what's
you
so
brush your
infrequent
teeth with?
is peppermint stick ice cream, the candy cane kind. They only have that at Christmas, and everyone buys it all up, and it's a hassle to get it. But that's like an OG ice cream flavor. That's what back when they had 3 kinds of candy, and one of them was peppermint sticks, and the other 2 were different varieties of licorice. Like it's the oldest
Yep.
shit in the world. They would smash them up with hammers and put them in the ice cream.
You know what's the thing? They don't sell this in ice cream trucks. But while we're here, and we haven't eaten this, and even though people have told us to, and we definitely haven't eaten on camera.
Bullets?
No. So Trolley or whatever made those. Do you see those things? Those.
What?
Okay, we did a episode on gummy candy, right?
Mhm.
And Dave and Lowe, shout out to him, who's been listening to our shows for ages now. Super nice guy. Sent me a DM being like, "Hey, did you know
Oh.
about these?"
Oh no! Yes, that's right. Yes. Oh no!
Okay, so-
don't look at these up on a work computer. They're a problem.
No, look up the Trolley ice creams. So these are called Trolley gummy pops. And their whole thing is that they have like an action feature where they wiggle. There's this picture
Their
of this
whole
guy.
thing is that they have a pervert working in the graphic design
Yes.
department who, I don't know,
I want the chewy gummy texture. I kind of want to try these.
I definitely want to try it. It looks great. I don't want people seeing me buying it because I'm going to wind up getting on a list.
It looks like a dick.
It looks
Let's
like
just say
it looks like a dildo.
Yes.
And they're not helping because they got worms with googly eyes on there, but the worms have like Muppet mouths, so they look like they just have a little. It's not a great look. They really need to do something different over there. But then again, we're talking about it, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading that they went viral. I don't know that doesn't actually mean anything because that could mean good things or bad things. But I want them. I want to try one.
That's awesome. You know, I realized that I typically do not gravitate towards the Simpletons ice cream of just the little soft serve Mr. Softy thing. But the one thing that's great about it is you do not have choice paralysis or buyer's remorse, which you
Right.
almost always do no matter what you get from like a good humor truck, which is like, I have so many memories of just wishing I got something different or like being like, oh, this doesn't look as good as the picture. But like, I don't know, getting a little soft serve ice cream there's something very simple about that. I also realized like I don't know where to get that shy of an ice cream truck, and I don't even know if my ice cream truck has that.
No, me neither. I mean, one thing we didn't really talk about is the sold out stickers that they would put all over the sides of these things as a hot day progressed. And that was like the biggest bummer. Would you be like, "Mom, can I have like $3 for ice cream?" Yeah, sure. And she'd like fish it out, and then you'd go over and all the cool shit would be gone. And then that's probably how you ended up with something like, the fucking snow cone again, or trolley dildo sticks.
Yeah, trolley dildo sticks. Man, I want to go get ice cream now. I
really do. Yeah,
I think I need an ice cream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ice cream trucks do in fact rule. They are one of the only pairings of dessert and vehicle. And I'm glad that they're ice cream trucks and not like ice cream station wagons. I think that would be uncomfortable for everyone involved. Ice cream convertibles could probably work.
Is there an ice cream hearse?
Yes, but it only has the vampire's secret within, which is dead people. Man, yeah. All right, time to go get ice cream. Brian, thank you for preparing this wonderful book report about frozen delicacies and candies. I enjoyed it very much, but now I want to go and have frozen delights.
Me too. It's summertime. Go enjoy a sweet treat.
Before we go, just a reminder, This Thing Rules is made possible thanks to the support of our Patreon backers. If you'd like to help us keep the lights on and get some extra bonus stuff for yourself, you can go kick us $1 or $2 at patreon.com/thisthingrules. But really, every little comment, like, subscribe, share, or other form of engagement goes a long way. So if you've got a minute, give us a plug on social media, or go give us a nice review on iTunes, or just write something weird. I don't care. It's nice that you made the effort. And finally, a big, huge, extra special thank you to Patreon executive producers for this month: Ben Burkhalter, Anthony DePiro, Nick Vaughn, Paul Atienza, Kevin Lemasurier, Steve Cam, Caleb Hilliard, Billy McKendry, and Chip Chunkling. Thank you so much for your continued support. You rule.
New Lick-A-Color. As you lick, they change colors. The colors, Duke. The colors.
I'm colorblind, kid.